Hello everybody, how are you going? And welcome to some more Historica Canada videos, the same people that make the incredible Heritage Minutes, and this one is starting off with the unsung hero of the Halifax Explosion.
Immediately after the explosion, my office was filled with the injured. I was the only doctor in the district, and had only my housekeeper and a Pullman porter for assistance. They were very severe cases, and even some people who had been turned away from the hospital came to my office. In spite of the warnings, I worked steadily both night and day, doing outside work on the hundreds who were scattered all over, though the horse was up to his knees in the blizzard. After 4 days, I went to City Hall and was given 2 nurses. Work was still very heavy, and eventually 8 more nurses were sent.
Whoa!
Weeks later, I still have upwards of 51 cases due to the explosion and the conditions it created. I have not charged a cent to anyone since the explosion, and will still do relief work, but now I must snatch a half-hour's sleep.
Fair
In the
enough.
hours, days, and weeks following the Halifax explosion, hundreds of people were treated free of charge at the home of Dr. Clement Ligore, the first black doctor to practice in Nova Scotia.
Oh, geez, just that entire thing is just such a Hollywood scripted event, but it's not. It's just like the perfect series of events that, as much as it's a tragic event and an insane event at the same time, to be having these hopeful and just beautiful stories of just trust and help and everything like that, and treatment of people after the fact, that's incredible for this person, or I guess these people as well, including the 8 nurses, and maybe it grew to be more, just I guess donated all of their time in the beginning. I don't know if they were eventually subsidized in any form of the way. I also do want to know if it was just never sleeping. Are you just purely running on the adrenaline of treating these people? But that's not really what you want to be doing. You do need physically to have some rest to be able to be making and treating these people appropriately when you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of people out in a blizzard. I mean, even the horse, I mean, it's just insane that they were saying, yes, the horse was up to its knees. There's just, the sights that you'd be seeing, it would be horrendous and such a toll on the body and the mind, and then just to press on for weeks like that. Very, very, very impressive. However, like always, these videos just leave me with so many questions, and one of which is, I guess, coming back to the start, I can understand why the hospital would be needing to eventually turning people away, as you're not ever going to be set up to deal with an entire district in one go. However, are they treating it like a first case first served? Are they treating it in a priority of, well, you're only missing 1 leg and not 2, so you're going to be fine, and then they were sending those people away? Was he getting recommendations to go to the doctor's office, or was it just word of mouth? How is it really getting around? And also, if people are turning up to his practice, but he's not even there because he's out on the front lines just dealing in the blizzard, how is that ever going to be working? And I just don't understand how you can possibly have enough time in the day as a one-man band plus your homekeeper and your doorman, something along those lines, just to be treating an entire town. And then secondly, where is he getting all of his resources in terms of bandages and anesthetics or anything like that? How is he managing to require so much of this stuff, as it's going to be in such short supply, with surely most of it going to the hospital? That's the entire reason that they are overrun in the first place, besides just the staffing of the entire thing. And so I guess he's just pulling on his own supply. But like I said, you've got an entire town, minus what the hospital is dealing with, out on the front lines, and unless your pack horse is just a magical pack horse, I don't know how you can possibly carry around and deal with that. So the entire story is just outrageous, as they truly are such an unsung hero. I'm sure after the many months of recovery for some of these people and for the town, his name still would have been mentioned plenty of times, going, this man saved my life, this one saved my daughter's life, whatever it could be. He's the true hero of this entire situation. Disappearance of Ambrose Small. What have we got? 1919. It's one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in Canadian history. Well, he did the Harold Holt, did he? Illegal bets on horse races. Okay. Is it illegal because of the time or because of something else? Interesting. Wait, hang on. His stepmother's younger sister. What is the relationship there? Whatever it was, they apparently had little in common, which is always such a weird thing. Why even bother? But I guess the pressures of the times, I guess. Devout Roman Catholic, while small, was a woman I had an affair with. Wow, okay, then they had no children. Okay, maybe that's part of the entire legality of it. I just had to pause it here to try and reread what I thought I read because I read it correctly, but it just made no sense. I have no context, no grammatical understanding of what I am reading there if I'm reading it correctly. As if I heard once, I heard a score of times the ominous words, "Somebody will get Hamby someday." Like, is that just crowds and cohorts of people just that are angry at his illegal fixings? I have no idea. That day was... Oh, now I get the context of it. I was just so taken out of it. Whoa, that's insane. 34 theatres, I believe it was, for 1.7 million. But back then... Oh, wow. The very next day, signing a $1.7 million check. Wait, is that right? $1.7 million check. Just like that, just signed and cleared, or I guess it was deposited, but just basically willy-nilly, just someone went, yeah, sure, I'll take your massive amount of theatres off your hands for 1.7 million. I mean, I would love to know how much that is now. It's probably, what, this is 1919, was it? 1919. So it's probably like 80 million? I have no idea. That's a random number that I put out of thin air, but it feels like it was quite the large fortune, not even small fortune. Oh, but of course, just rereading that, my mind was stuck in the theatre being the cinema, but no, there are two obviously separate things, especially of the time, and so the decline of live theatre spurred him to sell his 34 theatres for $1.7 million. And I guess they probably were going to be converted into cinemas, a whole bundle of them. But even then, at least he is a businessman going, well, I've built this empire, but it's kind of on the way down, so I better just jump ship before I have to meet my end. Ironically enough, I guess he then did immediately meet his end, probably because of that deal. Went to lunch, visiting an orphanage because I had no kids, I guess. So I went to his office to meet with Flo and clear up some details of the deal. Fair enough. Big deals. Right. Just like that, he just disappeared. Thanos snapped from reality $1.7 million later. What? Hang on, it was 2 weeks before the police learned that he had vanished. There were two main suspects. Okay, that's why. I was going, how was it 2 weeks in before he was deemed gone? Because surely Teresa would be going, where'd you go, mate? You went out for lunch and you never came back, and we went to the orphanage and I never saw you again. So of course you are going to be suspect number one, especially after just closing that deal, but being a direct beneficiary of it. And James Jack Doty, Small's personal secretary. Ooh, the plot thickens, but I guess no one still knows from what we've heard. Teresa did not report her husband missing. I believe... Oh, right. I guess that's even going to play into it. What? I guess that is all going to be coming into it in terms of her apparent decision to not let the police know sooner, going, okay, well, I don't want a scandal because he's going to be a prominent figure. He's obviously quite a rich fellow of the time, and so people are going to be knowing him, and he's quite well known. So I, being Teresa, don't want to be caught up in that entire scandal. But then she's going, hang on a minute, this is a little bit too long and I've heard nothing. Meanwhile, the sisters are going, this is a little bit too suspicious. However, speaking of being suspicious, then the sisters took it to the other end of the extreme, or I guess the private detective did. I've never heard of the word muckraking. I have no idea what that possibly means out of context, but they apparently accused everyone from the police to the Catholic Church of being involved in a conspiracy, and I just love that. You go from Teresa not wanting anything to do with anything, and then that person just going, and you get blame, and you get blame, and everyone's just conspiring against them. And I guess to some extent you could be. I don't know why the police would be conspiring against them. I guess they could have got paid off in the $1.7 million deal. There's going to be a lot of money floating around, and that's all going to get very, very, very messy very quickly. But oh man, I can understand now, especially considering it was left for 2 weeks. That's a lot of time just to let things run wild that you're not really going to be able to do much as the police in that time to go, yeah, let's go look at the CCTV and go, no, that's not a thing. You better just hope that the muckraking private detective can find something. Teresa was never charged. She inherited Small's estate, most of which she donated to the Catholic charities upon her death, which I wonder how much he would be rolling in his grave. But nobody often complained about his Small salary. He'd even spoken of plotting to murder Small. Wow. Along with $100,000 in victory bonds from Small's safety box. Wait. What? What are victory bonds? Doherty went missing shortly after Small disappeared, along with $100,000 back then. Insane. In victory bonds. I don't know what victory bonds are. Buy victory bonds? Be yours to hold it high 1919? I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess there's something to do with the war and efforts to some extent, but I don't know why you'd be buying them, or I don't know what they'd be building of this time. I really don't know, but $100,000 in victory bonds is not a small figure. Be yours and hold it high. It doesn't make sense to me, but police called him in Oregon. He was convicted of theft, but they never could prove that he had killed his boss. Small's body, even the body was never found. Wait, 1937 were initially expected. Will Andrew Small, what does all of these papers say? The body of the missing millionaire, theatrical magnate of Toronto, has never been found, though for 9 years the worldwide search has continued. Who's searching? Like, who's paying for this entire thing? I mean, I guess it's all on police and detective work, that mud racking, whatever it was, but Andrew Small's disappearance was never solved. That's incredible. To have such a large-scale figure with so much money behind him. I mean, it's not his to spend, or I guess it was, but kind of not. He wasn't able to spend it anymore. I can understand how it would be so easy just to cover things up in some regard, and maybe the detective was onto something. But still, for it to this day still just have nothing, that is pretty darn insane. To not go and find some documents 40 years later, or have someone whisper something on their deathbed or anything like that and kind of go, oh, well, I'm dead, but yeah, this guy is over in this part of the Great Lakes, whatever it may be. I don't know. It's always incredible that such high-profile cases can just remain unsolved. And this is a panel from I don't see when. I wish I could, but like they're saying, it's still unsolved. But I guess, to be fair to the entire situation, the information that they have just presented to us does seemingly allude to the fact that it wasn't just a upper class theatre magnate like they say. No, it was maybe some undercover dealings going on between his illegal bookwork and all the kind of horse racing industry of that time, and whatever you want to be saying in that department. It just doesn't sound like he was a completely above the board kind of fellow, and maybe karma of some sort caught up to him.
At first, my family was against it. It was a pretty difficult time, and singers weren't very well regarded in IT under Duvalier. You're a musician, but you're also a politician, because sometimes you're forced to sing something that is hard to digest. Musicians have no borders. They travel, they go everywhere. They're accepted everywhere. There were Quebecers I admired and appreciated, and Quebec opened its arms to me.
Ooh.
I found it extraordinary to take my chance as a singer here. I was the singer who filled Le Perchoir d'Haïti in Montreal, and that's why the owner gave me a renewable contract. Not to blow my own trumpet, but I've accepted that the community calls me the patriarch, and I represent and defend them. The day I can no longer sing, it will be my duty to hand over the microphone to my compatriots.
Fair enough.
I have never regretted it. I've never regretted anything.
Anything?
Known as
Oh,
the
what are they gonna be saying?
patriarch of Haitian music, Joe Trudeau composed over 300 songs.
Wow.
In the 1960s, he was a mainstay at Montreal's Le Perchoir d'Haïti, a vibrant place of cultural exchange between Haitian and Quebecois artists and intellectuals.
Jeez. Just like that, he just burst his way onto the scene. I mean, it's incredible that someone can just do that. I guess they were given the opportunity by the renewable contract, but that only comes from being one, having the gift of the voice, but also just being a hard worker, composing over 300 songs, being an incredible entertainer, being captivating on stage, all of those things, whether it's the color of the start or the suave of the end in his suit, whatever it may be. These people, you just have the knack for it, don't they? They just can just drive an entire community, like they said, and even just the humility at the end there to go, you know what though? The day that I can't sing is the day that I need to just be handing and passing on the torch. Just going, you know what? I've had my time. As much as I love what I do, it is time for me just to enjoy this community that I have helped build from a different perspective, just to be viewing someone else up on stage, as he would have seen so many generations if he has truly been on stage for so long, since he was just a kid almost. Then he would have seen such a turnover of people, and it would be an incredible thing, the amount of people you hear, these just lifelong artists, the incredible reign that they have, and just so many different artists that they've met just make them so well-rounded and such a prominent figure in the entire music scene. And I'm sure that this guy, as much as I don't believe that I've ever heard of him, you can just understand the passion that comes across if you're truly doing it for a lifelong activity.